Hey everyone, my name is Lisa Villasan, a BS Cream student. In this video, I will be reciting Rule 117 of Revised Rules of Criminal Procedures, others known as Motion to Quash. Rule 117 protects the accused by ensuring no one tried without valid reason. In this video, we'll explain the rule and show how it applies in real cases. Section 1 of Rule 117 state time to move to quash. At any time before entering his play, the accused may move to quash the complaint or information. Section 2 of Rule 117 state form and contents. The motion to quash shall be written, signed by the accused or his counsel, and shall distinctly specify its factual and legal grounds. The court shall consider no ground other than those stated in the motion, except lack of jurisdiction over the offense charged. Section 3 of Rule 117, the grounds. The accused may move to quash the complaint or information of any of the following grounds. A. The facts charged do not constitute an offense. B. The court trying the case has no jurisdiction over the offense charged. C. The court trying the case has no jurisdiction over the person of the accused. D. The officer who filed the information had no authority to do so. That is not conform substantially to the prescribed form. F. That more than one offense is charged except when a single punishment for various offenses is prescribed by the law. G. That the criminal action or liability has been extinguished. H. That it contains a vermex which, if true, would constitute a legal excuse or justification, and that the accused has been previously convicted or acquitted of the offense charged, or the case against him was dismissed or otherwise terminated without his express consent. Section 4 of Rule 117, amendment of complaint or information. If the motion to quash is based on alleged defect of the complaint or information which can be cured by amendment, the court shall order that an amendment be made. If it is based on the ground that the facts charged do not constitute an offense, the prosecution shall be given by the court an opportunity to correct the defect by amendment. Motion shall be granted if the prosecution fails to make the amendment, or the complaint or information still suffers from the same defect despite the amendment. 5 of Rule 117. Effect of sustaining the motion to quash. If the motion to quash is sustained, the court may order that other complaint or information be filed except as provided in Section 6 of this rule. If the order is made, the accused, if the custody, shall not be discharged unless admitted to bail. If no order is made, or if having been made, no new information is filed within the time specified in the order or within such further time as the court may allow for good cause, the accused, if in custody, shall be discharged unless he is also in custody of another charge. Section 6 of Rule 117. Order sustaining the motion to quash not a bar to another prosecution. Exception. An order sustaining the motion to quash is not a bar to another prosecution for the same offense unless the motion was based on the grounds specified in Section 3G and I of this rule. Section 7 of Rule 117. Former conviction or acquittal. Double jeopardy. When an accused has been convicted or acquitted, or the case against him dismissed or otherwise terminated without his expression consent by a court of competent jurisdiction, upon a valid complaint or information or other formal charge sufficient in form and substance to sustain an conviction, and after the accused had pleaded to the charge. Conviction or acquittal of the accused or the dismissal of the case shall be a bar to another prosecution for the offense charged, or for any attempt to commit the same or frustration thereof, or for any offense which necessarily includes or is necessarily included in the offense charged in the former complaint or information. The conviction of the accused shall not be barred to another prosecution for an offense which necessarily includes the offense charged in the former complaint or information under any of the following instances. A. The griever offense developed due to the supervening facts arising from the same act or omission constituting the former charge. The facts constituting the griever charge become known or were discovered only after a plea was entered in the former complaint or information. C. The plea of guilty to the lesser offense was made without the consent of the prosecutor and of the offended party except as provided in Section 1F of Rule 116. Any of the foregoing case where the accused satisfies or serve in whole or in part the judgment, he shall be treated with the same in the event of conviction for the graver offense. Section 8 of Rule 117. Provisional dismissal. A case shall not be provisionally dismissed except within the express consent of the accused and when notice to the offended party. The provisional dismissal of offences punishable by imprisonment not exceeding 6 years or a fine of any amount or both shall become permanent 1 year after issuance of the order without the case having been revived. With respect to the offences punishable by imprisonment of more than 6 years, their provisionally dismissal shall become permanent in 2 years after issuance of the order without the case having been revived. Section 9 of Rule 117. Failure to move to quash or to allege any ground therefore. The failure of the accused to assert any ground of motion to quash before he pleads to the complaint or information, either because he did not file a motion to quash or failed to allege the same in said motion, shall be deemed a waiver of any objections except those based on the grounds provided for in paragraph A, B, G, and I of Section 3 of this rule.